du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich die wenigsten Jahre gearbeitet habe.
This is Lyadov, and today we are in Switzerland. It's a most beautiful country. The sun is shining, there are green meadows, stunning mountains, like a Milka ad come alive. This Narnia-grade forest is absolutely incredible. And as you're walking through this wonderland, the last thing you expect to see whilst looking around is a big gun. Look at this curtain made of steel chains, and the gun is obviously not a museum item. It's a real weapon. Inside this mountain and behind this gun, there is a 2-level bunker with a system of tunnels that stretches for miles. And this is just one of the hundreds of the country's massive underground strongholds. This is Lyadov, and today I'm reporting from Switzerland, a nation that is most well prepared for a nuclear threat. With a population of 8 million people, the country has got over 300,000 underground fortifications and bomb shelters, capable of sheltering 11 million people. These days, all these facilities are used for things like cheese production or laundry services. But many are still active assets operated in their direct capacity.
Well, everything is here. This was built to survive 6 months for 600 soldiers, you know. We have everything here. We have electricity, we have our own generator, we can make our own electricity. We have our own water.
Living in the mountains has always been a challenge for humans. It's not good for agriculture, and getting around the mountains isn't so easy. But folks here have managed to turn it around and become Europe's most peaceful state with the most powerful defensive system.
Are you subscribed to our channel? Not yet? The sad thing is that Anton can't go on his next adventure until you do. So pretty please, subscribe now. That's right. Go ahead, click subscribe. Well done and thank you. We can continue now.
This bunker is a private property now. It's been purchased by a very rich Swiss gentleman whom we are going to... oh my god, good lord! I think I've set an alarm off. The entry tunnel alone is a few hundred yards deep, but the alarm system detected an intruder as soon as I stepped in. I need to call them to say it's me. Guys, look at this phone. What a marvel. Okay, let me call them quickly. There is a number here. 382238.
Hello? Ja, das ist Anton? Okay. Komm nur, ja. Kommen wir, okay.
The sound is so spooky. If you want to walk to the bunker owner's office, it will take you half an hour, but you can actually drive in these tunnels. The tunnels are pretty narrow, you wouldn't be able to get out, but then I get to the parking lot and it's pretty big. This is a most unusual place. You get here and you don't understand a thing. The only thing that's vaguely familiar about this place is the damp smell, like in my granny's cellar.
Hello. Hello. Anton.
Hi, Ivana.
Ivana, nice to meet you.
We are inside a huge battleship, concealed inside a mountain. They've got here a command post, a power station, a repair room, and a storage for almost 55,000 gallons of fuel and over 500,000 gallons of water.
That's right, to private property. Yeah. My private house. I have a house with 195 rooms. Underground.
The bunker's owner's name is Erich. Look at him. He is touring his underground property like a real captain of the ship, with a glass of wine and a huge Nicaraguan cigar, like a Rambo retired. They use buggy cars like this to get around the place because We are now entering the main tunnel, so it's because it's the biggest underground fortress in Switzerland, and it's now owned by a private individual, by this very person, who is also a millionaire or a billionaire, I don't know exactly, but a millionaire for sure. And this is the largest underground compound in the country. These underground tunnels stretch in total for 5 miles, and this is the spot where the gun is installed, the one we saw from outside.
Okay, you go on the other side. You can videotape. The cannons are up on the mountain, and it goes way up there.
So they have this chain mechanism to deliver the gun to the surface and to also deliver the projectiles about 60 yards up. We are about 60 yards underground, and the actual shooting is supposed to be done up there.
Над нами 60 метров земли. И оттуда должна была происходить стрельба.
Wow, look at this! This is the actual barrel of the gun, the one that does the shooting. I'm anti-gun and anti-violence, by the way. This is the room where the soldiers lived, a total of 120 beds.
В одной комнате 120.
60 in this room, and there must be 60 more in the next one.
И еще столько же должно.
Right, it's dark. Let me switch the lights on once I figure out how.
Темно, сейчас тут включу свет, если пойму, как это сделать. О.
Yeah, that worked. So, look, 60 more beds in here, a total of 120 beds, and as many soldiers. It does smell of barracks even now. Look here, let's try this bed and see what it's like.
Прикольно, давайте попробуем прилечь.
So, by the look of it, each bed is a double bunk bed for 2 people up and 2 people down. I don't know how it works, but overall, if it's a bed for 2, I'd say it's not terribly comfy, considering there'd be a buddy right next to me and we'd both have to get up quickly at the same time after sleep. Well, I guess that's the army for you. Here, as you can see, they have little cabinets, like for soap and stuff. Okay, I want to try the upper bed. Wait, how do I get on the upper bed? Okay, let me try to get up there. Okay.
Ну-ка.
The upper bed seems more fun, it feels like. Well, let's see.
Такое ощущение. Опа.
At least they've got more overhead space. They've got a sloped ceiling like in an attic, so it's quite alright, I'd say.
Да, смотри, ты такой лежишь. Ага, и нормально.
I can have a good night's sleep up here, I think. Except if I had some other guy next to me, that'd make it a bit too crowded and not really so much fun anymore. With all that body hair and the odor, you know. They don't have personal storage other than these cabinets because each bed, as it turns out, was used by 3 soldiers at a time.
Well, they put their backpacks here, you know. They slept there. They had everything with them. It wasn't like a designated spot. They had to carry all their equipment with them. So they were 3 shifts. Some people were sleeping, some people were working, some people were eating. And then when a guy came to sleep, if somebody stood up, he just took the next bed, you know. It was always a warm bed.
They've got rooms that seem comfier compared to the barracks, with some privacy. What a luxury. This was the room for officers. They had a phone on a desk. Look at this phone. It looks literally brand new, shiny, in pristine condition. They had to be on call 24/7. This room's extension number is 2294, for example. A rotary dial phone with a cable. And again, here are the double bunk beds for officers with a steel frame. But I'd say that the mattresses are pretty thick and comfy despite that. Individual cabinets here look kind of cute, I'd say. Like a tiny home for a tiny gnome.
Прям как-то очень уютненько. Что ты открываешь и думаешь, там какой-нибудь тамагочи будет лежать.
Here they've got the sinks. Look, someone left behind a razor.
Даже бритва осталась.
And they've got a real wardrobe. That's an upgrade, definitely. It's got individual sections for each officer, one on top and one on the bottom. This bunker can accommodate up to 600 people. They've got a lot of space, but everything is pretty frugal. Nothing extra, like inside a submarine where every square inch has a purpose. And that's what they call Ordnung, which means order. And, in fact, being very organized once saved Switzerland from being taken over by the Nazis. And then it helped become one of the top economies in the world. This kind of life might, however, appear a little too organized. to someone new to the country. So, how do you know you're in Switzerland? One way to know is if you notice some weird, control-freaky stuff going on around. But another way to describe the same would be to use the German word Ordnung. Look, for example, what they've got here. They put here a piece of rope. Why? To stop you from putting your bags on top of each other, to prevent them from falling, and also to prevent children from getting on for safety. See, it means I can't put my other bag on top here. Okay, so how do I make this work? Switzerland has some of the oddest laws in Europe. For one, no one is allowed to take a shower or flush a toilet after 10 p.m. I'm serious, you can face a $500 fine if you don't comply. Even dogs are not allowed to bark during the night. They are trained not to. I'm not kidding you. If they still bark, they can actually remove a dog's vocal cords surgically. There is another law that says you can't own a guinea pig, a hamster, or a parrot unless you get a couple, as these furry little guys don't like to be alone. At the same time, Switzerland gives its people more freedom than most countries in the world. For example, anyone can buy a gun here. At least 500,000 firearms are known to be in private ownership. In the evening, seeing red lights here and there on the streets is also a usual thing. Yeah, you know what it means.
Это, в принципе, публичные дома. Да, они в Швейцарии не просто...
These are brothels. Prostitution in Switzerland is legal and regulated and has been long since decriminalized. It's been legal since 1942. Imagine that. That's right, female prostitution has been legal in Switzerland for over 80 years now.
Разрешена еще для мужчин тоже.
Male prostitution has been legalized since 1992. Seeing that sex for money exists everywhere, even in places that deny it, like the Soviet Union did or North Korea still does, there are experts who have researched the subject and they know.
Вот, поэтому какой смысл, да, что называется, обманывать себя? Лучше пусть это сделает, лучше пусть это будет.
So, given all that, why pretend it's not there? They decided it would be better to make it legal and make sure women are not mistreated or robbed and so on.
Реально это легализовано до такой степени, да, что, например, в некоторых кантонах женщины, работающие по этой профессии...
The industry is so regulated that in some cantons, sex workers must present a business plan and to report on it. It's not like every girl here grows up to become a prostitute, nothing like that. It's just an interesting fact that prostitution here is absolutely legal. According to the authorities, a total of 543 brothels operate in Switzerland, and sex workers' earnings are comparable to those of senior bankers. They make between 200 and 1,000 Swiss francs per day, or on the average, 125,000 Swiss francs per year. What's with the prices here, guys, may I ask? I've been riding this taxi for less than 10 minutes, 8 to be precise, and I already owe 53 francs. That's about $60. I mean, what? Really? $60 for a 10-minute ride? The fare meter is a torture device here. Instead of looking out the window and enjoying the view, I keep watching the meter and thinking about how much money I have left on my card when I pay the bill. I mean, it's crazy. It adds $5 for every intersection we cross. So, in the end, my bill for a 10-minute ride rises to $65. Welcome to Switzerland, pals. I decided to try and haggle with the driver because, you know, it's just way too expensive.
Card, maybe a little discount. No, this is not my airport taxi. This is officially airport.
60.
Yeah, this is not my private.
Oh my God. Okay, my friend, thank you.
Fuck me! Of course, I knew that Switzerland is expensive. In terms of cost of living, it ranks as the most expensive country in the world and, of course, in Europe. But knowing that doesn't help much when you've got to pay crazy money for fairly simple things. Well, look at this absolutely gorgeous meal I'm gonna have for $37. How's that to you? This money could buy me a dinner in a 1 Michelin-star restaurant in Moscow for one. According to the Big Mac Index, Switzerland has the most expensive Big Macs in the world. And it tastes exactly Like the Big Mac in my home city in Russia. I'd say nothing different. It's just the same, a little sour, actually. Not my top choice, in fact. I prefer Big Tasty. The fries are great, crunchy. Beats me why this should cost as much as $37. Here is how people in Switzerland dispose of trash. Bottles go into one container. Also, make sure to remove the bottle cap first. If it's a tin, make sure it's empty before it goes in the appropriate container. Plastic bottles have to be flattened first. All the cars in the city are squeaky clean, like it's one giant auto show. In downtown Zurich, people ride trams that make absolutely next to no noise. See for yourselves. Here. Or bicycles. Check out this upgraded model. A young mum is driving a kid and a dog in that big cart up front. All this made me wonder, why is everyone so relaxed around here? I found out that there are two answers to this question. First of all, the prices don't appear too high to the locals because they earn more. For example, a school teacher in Switzerland earns more in a month than a teacher in Russia in a year.
Guys, if you like my video and if you like what we're doing, I would really appreciate if you support us on Patreon, on Pioneer or on PayPal, and we try to make even more great films from new dangerous places for you. Thank you. All the links are in the description. Please donate.
Switzerland is located right in the middle of Europe, and yet they've managed to have had no wars or armed conflict for the past 100 years. Here is, for example, a map of Europe in 1941. Grey marks the territories occupied by Nazi Germany. This is Switzerland, a country that remained neutral while being literally surrounded by the German Reich. Now, look at this. Just a mountain view. Let's zoom in. Still nothing out of the ordinary. Let's zoom in a bit more. When you get a closer look, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bunkers in this mountain. And these are the bigger ones. And now I see more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smaller ones. This is really impressive. This entire mountain is not just a mountain, it's one huge fortification. And the thing is that almost every mountain in the country is fortified like this. So pretty much the entire country is one huge, extremely well-defended fortress. This is incredible. I can't believe that all of this has been carved into a mountain. Words fail me. I'm like, because you see, this one, for instance, is obviously a defense position for a machine gunner. So the man is protected by a mountain, and there is no way to hit him, like at all. Also, this place has a tremendous view, so it gives the gunner a huge advantage, because it's a high ground. So how did the Swiss come up with this idea? The answer is simple. They dug tunnels. Imagine that half your country is covered by mountains like the Alps, as tall as 15,000 feet. Since the country was in the middle of Europe, they thought they could make good money if they built good roads through the mountains. Going over the mountains would have been too expensive and too risky. Now, blasting a tunnel in a mountain is a much better solution, and that's what the Swiss started doing. They started building their first railway tunnel in the 1840s, and they have not stopped ever since. Today, the country operates over 1,300 tunnels, and the longest of them runs for over 35 miles. And then the Swiss thought, well, we can use the tunnels for more than just roads.
This is the command center for the 10.5 centimeter cannons. The cannons are up in the mountain, and some guy would be out in the field. He'd radio in the coordination where they need to shoot the gun. Then with this thing, he would figure out how to set the guns, this manual computer. And then the officer here with this headset would communicate with the cannon up in the mountain, Cannon 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 4 cannons, turn 30 degrees, 160 degrees.
Now that's the place where they have the guns. This thing here is the actual gun barrel that had to be dragged up this staircase. It's an awfully hard job hauling it up there. Look how many steps it's got, the staircase. And so they built a machine to do the job. Most of these strongholds and fortifications were built in response to World War II when it broke out. Look, this is a map of Europe circa 1943. Germany had Switzerland literally surrounded, and it was obvious that Hitler was bound to try and annex it too. The Swiss knew they didn't stand a chance in a battle on open ground, which is why they had developed their Swiss National Redoubt plan. The plan involved a retreat from the open country in the central plateau to the impregnable defenses in the Alps. They mined all the bridges and incoming roads and built fortifications in the mountains at the strategic alpine nodes of Saint-Maurice, Saint-Gothard, and Sargans, connecting the country to France, Italy, and Germany respectively.
Did the Nazis, Hitler, did they know that Switzerland is prepared so well?
But he knew that he would lose too many soldiers if he come here, because we had a very strong army here, million soldiers, all sharpshooters.
The Swiss built and stocked their fortifications in a way that would allow them to stay in for months, maybe even years, killing their enemies with next to no risk to their own lives. Now check this out. You enter and that's your shower room. Isn't that crazy? It looks like you're in a space travel movie like Star Wars or something. That's the kind of look you expect from a shower room in a galaxy far, far away. And here they have... Well, I was kind of expecting I'd get a wet head to toe right now. Nope, no water supply at the moment. And you see they have the shower stations here and by the wall too. And everything looks so new that it's really hard to believe it was built circa World War II. And while you're here, you can snack on Swiss cheese and French wine. Isn't that a dream? Now, the most important room, the canteen. It looks very comfy and neat and cute to me. Look, they've got a radio here. Over here they've got this thing, the screen that comes out from the ceiling. And they could watch movies using an overhead projector. So they'd have the screen here and sit their tables in rows over there, watching flicks. Then there's the most important place of all, the kitchen. I want you to take a good look at this kitchen. It's a restaurant-grade kitchen. It's amazing. It worked 24/7 because soldiers worked 24/7 in 3 shifts, taking turns to sleep, eat, and be on duty. So someone always had to eat and someone always had to cook. Look at this stove. That's for making hot meals. Look at the utensils. Just look at this absolutely huge skimmer spoon. It's bigger than my head, literally. And here's the pot to match this spoon. And you're like making a pea soup or whatever in this pot for a dozen guys. Everything is well thought through, that you'd have no need to leave the place for at least 6 months. They've got water, fuel, a huge power station to provide electricity. They've even got a mail system. Look at this thing here. They've got a phone station with phone books, and you can call absolutely anyone. They've got the books hanging here, well, those that are still left, and you can open up any one and look for a name. You can literally call anyone in Switzerland. First, you find the city you need, Bern for example, and you look up the name. Here, for example, is Anna Britt. You call her and say, "Hello Anna, how are you? You alright? No war in Bern?" Of course, if Hitler really wanted to take over Switzerland, he would have found a way to do it, despite all the defenses. But the Swiss made sure that the cost of that victory would have been way too high. Instead, Switzerland offered an advantage. If the country is neutral, it can trade with anyone. Fun fact, Switzerland is not part of the European Union. It's not an EU country. More than that, until 2006, if I remember it right, EU citizens like Germans and others were required to apply for a visa to enter Switzerland. They don't use euros here, they've got their own currency and a very interesting design with an unusual vertical layout, different from most currencies. So, in 1941, Nazi Germany was at war with the Soviet Union, Great Britain, and the United States, effectively making any trade opportunities with these nations closed for the Reich. Naturally, the Reich couldn't buy US dollars or British pounds either, while other nations were not willing to trade anything for the German currency. But they accepted Swiss francs happily, and Switzerland had no problem trading with Nazi Germany. Swiss banks opened accounts for Nazis, buying from them gold and other valuables plundered by the Nazis from other nations. In a nutshell, the Swiss strategy looks like this. Fighting us will cost you too much because we'll kill many of your soldiers, but doing business with us will be a big advantage. So the Swiss lifestyle recipe is say yes to the best things, no to the bad things, and apply this approach to absolutely everything, even drinks. They've got an absolutely amazing drink here in Switzerland and in Austria. It's called Apfelschorle. What's so unusual about it, you might wonder? It's just a mix of soda and apple juice. That's what it looks like when you mix the two, and I say, it looks good. And to be honest, I simply love Apfelschorle. Amazing. Why? Because it's not so sweet like regular apple juice, and I love apple juice too, and at the same time, it's a lot more fun than just soda if you drink it alone. You know, like when all those bubbles make my nose fizz, I hate it. So, in my opinion, Apfelschorle has taken the best from apple juice and from the soda. I mean, it's ingenious. I love it. It's very refreshing and very light, and it's got these fun vibes about it, like almost like champagne. And now I want to ask the key question. How much does its upkeep cost? And why would anyone need all of this in our days?
Well, it's a hobby, you know. It's people. Some people buy Lamborghinis. I bought the bunker, you know. So, but we also use it commercially we rent rooms. People rent rooms for, you know, in case of emergencies, or companies rent rooms to store equipment. We also have private cloud here, data storage. We also do Bitcoin mining, but small companies rent servers here to store because it's nuclear protected. It's atomic proof. During the Cold War, they made it atomic proof. So if there's a nuclear war, you're safe down here without gas masks. You can live here during the war. And so that way it's great for companies to store the data here, private cloud. On my iPhone, my pictures are all stored in the bunker here. Mm-hmm. So if something happens to Apple, my pictures are all here in the server.
Really? You keep everything here?
On the server here, yeah.
Wow.
So, to keep his photos safe, Erich has spent 8 million Swiss francs. That's almost $9 million US dollars. And all this requires upkeep, maintenance, and repair. To give you an idea, his monthly electricity bill alone is in the ballpark of 5,000 francs. And yet, the project has already proven to be cost-effective. Because even now, there are people willing to book a bed in an underground military compound to be sure that in case something bad happens, they have a safe spot to wait it all out, even if it costs them at least 2,500 Swiss francs per month.
In fact, when the war broke out, I had 10 telephone calls every day from people wanting to rent rooms for emergency, yeah. And 90% of people called were from Germany, because in Germany there's no underground facilities. Whoa. In Switzerland there's room underground for every Swiss citizen. Yeah. And in Germany they have nothing. So yeah, I rented out some rooms, people paid in advance, lots of money for a year in advance in case if there's a war they can come and stay here. Huh? There's always been war in the world, in the history of the world. It's not going to change, you know. It's always been, it's always will be here. So it's just a matter of time before the next big war breaks out. So
you know, I've seen miles and miles of these tunnels now. And what I'm thinking is, You know, it came as a big surprise to me to find out that Switzerland was so well fortified and is still so well fortified that is ready for any major calamity, even of the worst kind. I'm literally stunned because I always thought Switzerland as a country of real bliss and fun, with all those idyllic meadows and happy cows and amazing cheese and cheese dancing and the best ski resorts full of elegant skiers where women are beautiful and men are rich and all wear diamond watches. And now I see that all this is built on a very, very serious foundation in terms of security. And to be honest, I'm shocked to realize this. I'm truly shocked. I always thought that the Swiss are a super peaceful nation, you know, like peace, love and joy. And when I saw all this, my hair stood on end, even on my head. Why? Because the thought that came to my mind scares me. And it's the thought that in our modern world, there can't be peace and fun and a happy life in idyllic meadows just like that. To have it, you must be ready for absolutely anyone around you to make a move on you and take it away, or for something bad to happen and take it away. And so you must always be ready to deal with it at any moment. And it is really hard to accept the fact that you must always expect something bad to happen, and you have to prepare for it. That's the kind of thoughts that keep coming to my mind in these tunnels.